Welcome to episode 4 of My Midland. I'm your host, Public Information Officer Erin Bailey, and today I am joined by our Fire Chief, Charles Blumenauer.
How you doing, Erin?
Doing great. We are so happy to have you on today.
I'm happy to be here.
I can tell you're ecstatic. Before we get to what everyone wants to hear about the new stations, first I want you to tell us a little bit more about your career with Midland Fire Department. So how long have you been with the department?
I got hired April 1st, 1998 with the Midland Fire Department. I still think it's probably one big April Fool's joke on me.
Hey, they kept you around.
Yeah, they kept me around. It's been a wonderful career. I promoted to engineer in 2005, promoted to captain in 2009, battalion chief in 2014, assistant chief in 2017, and then chief later that December of 2017. So
Wow.
It's been a great 23-year career so far, and I've enjoyed working here for the citizens of Midland.
When you started, did you ever think you would be the fire chief?
No, when I first started, I had aspirations of maybe making 1 or 2 promotions, maybe making captain. There was a point where I thought training chief seemed like a really cool job. I thought maybe doing training chief, and even when I made battalion chief, the previous fire chief, Chief Isabel, had said something to me about, do you want to be chief? And I said, no, I don't want to be chief. He goes, we need to start thinking about being chief because you'd be good at it. And then he left and retired or went to Round Rock, and just the wheels started rolling that direction, and here we are today.
And you're like, well, shoot.
Yeah.
And now it's
coming. So I became interim chief in April 2017. So I've been doing the job for 4 years, but I was December 3rd of 2017. I was named chief.
That's flown by.
Yes.
And now, how many stations have been new since you've been chief?
So when I was interim, we opened the new station 6 was opened during that time. I was part of that project team throughout the whole project, and then now we built stations 11 and then rebuilt station 5.
And let's talk about that.
We built one brand new station that's new to the system, station 11. It's out on County Road 60, Briarwood. It'll serve that northwestern part of the city that's growing rapidly. All those homes weren't in our 5-minute response time. We try to have everybody in a 5-minute response time, and those homes weren't. Thanks to the donation of land by Callan Petroleum, we were able to have a spot in that location. So we built that station, and it's going to help cover that part. Station 5 was a station that was built in 1958. We'd already tore down and replaced its previous, or its sister station, Station 6. We'd already replaced it. And so this station was due to be replaced, but it was in the middle of town in a good location, but on a really tiny lot. But we were able to save those 50-year-old pecan trees and do everything on the same lot, thanks to a wonderful team at Martinez Architects and MW Builders. It was just a wonderful team project, and it's just, the citizens, the outpouring of citizens at the open house was wonderful to see. But I don't know how many people that came through.
I know. I wish we had a counter.
Yeah, there was thousands.
Yeah.
So it was a great day. So
what was it like being chief, seeing those stations go from nothing to where they are now?
A lot of stress and hair pulling. That's why I had a lot of hair before that started.
You haven't been wrong.
But yeah, it was a exciting project to see the old Station 5 be tore down. And then to start seeing dirt work, and then to see concrete, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, is this going to be big enough? And then they put some walls up, and you're really thinking, and then they put a roof over some stuff, and then it's weird how it works. It looks small, and they put a roof, and it looks big again. And it was neat to kind of see that, and then when they finally get all the walls up and a roof up, and then they start doing interior, I mean, it's just a really fun project to be a part of, to see from the first piece of dirt being moved to the flag being raised on grand opening day. That's just fun to see that progression of the project.
And
So.
I think a lot of people think that the builders just handled all of it, but talking about the extra hours that you guys put in to get those stations ready.
Yeah, so my administrative staff and myself, and plus some of the crews, just the way the project happened to be bid out, some of the FF&E, which is furnitures and fixtures and equipment, got placed on us to purchase and buy and install. The previous two fire station projects, those were part of the project, so we didn't have to deal with putting beds together or lockers together or some of those things. Just the way this project happened to be bid out, that did fall on us. So it was up to me and my staff to research and then go out for bid to buy those things. But when they came in, to help save some money, because there were some other things I wanted, I probably could have paid money to have professional contractors come in and do the construction of building beds. But we were pretty confident in our ability to run a screwdriver and follow some instructions. And so we did that to save some money. So that really nice stove that they got, it's a very, very, very nice stove at the two stations, but it's an expensive stove. And so by saving some of those dollars on that piece of the project, by us doing those manual labor items, we were able to purchase those stoves as well.
Did you ever think you'd be building a Murphy bed?
No, I did not think I'd be building a
You're adding so many things to your resume with
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah, me and Assistant Chief McGarry have joked we're going to start our own. His first name is Brian, so Brian and Blumenauer. We're going to be B&B bed makers. So this is what we're going to do.
So when you retire, you know what you're doing. Yeah. So, now they know who to call.
Exactly.
What do those two stations mean for the growth of the department?
So Station 5, the old Station 5 was just 2 bays. It was a really small station, really small base. The first thing I knew we had to do was make sure, not for me, but for the next chief or the next chief, the ability to grow. So that station is 3 bays. They're big bays. We can put a ladder truck. Our current ladder truck will fit in that station. So depending on how the city grows and what the needs are, we can do those things at that station by making it a 3-bay station. Station 11, again, is out on the northwest corner of the city, but it's a 4-bay station. I think that if there was any mistakes made with stations 10 and 6 is that we didn't have 4th bays on those stations, because you see our fire trucks out there. What you don't realize is we have to have, probably for every 2 fire trucks, we need 1 reserve truck in case a truck goes down, so that we can continue to serve the citizens. Or when we have big events, a big structure fire, we'll call in overtime crews to man those vehicles at the stations. So we were rapidly running out of space. We were parking vehicles outside during the big snowstorm or freeze. We actually had 1 truck that was parked outside that the pump froze, so it can cause damage to the vehicles. So that station, first off, gives us storage space for some of our vehicles. We have 4 full-size bays at that station. Secondly, it gives us the ability to respond out in that area that needed the response, which is actually the more important reason for that station. But it just also given a future chief, if the town continues to grow out there, he'll have other options. We built the officers' quarters, where there could be another potential battalion chief at that point in time if we were to continue to grow, so we could have 3 battalion chiefs to divide the city up if we add more stations in the future. That way we kind of keep our span of control. From a fire department standpoint, from a supervisory standpoint, you really don't want a supervisor supervising more than about 5 individuals. Currently we're at 11 stations, so each of our battalion chiefs have 6 captains under them, so that's right there at the edge of our span of control. And if we were to continue to grow, we could do things at that station to shrink that span of control again.
And let's talk a little bit more about Station 11. With that being built, that changes the districting for that side of town, so some people will have different...
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so Station 9 was covering all of that area, and so Station 9 covered Green Tree, all the area behind Lowe's, Crowley Streets, the Hueva Vista area, and then because we do cover the county, we covered everything northwest in the county as well. We help Odessa with Gardendale. That whole North 158, 1788 corridor was all Station 9. Well, now That's all Station 11's. And Station 9 is more that little, kind of that still green tree area there all the way to like Midkiff. So.
And if people want to get to know the firefighters that are at the station that services their home, can they just like walk in and meet the guys, or how does that work?
So station does have a doorbell.
Yeah.
It's home. The station's, the citizens, it is their dollars. It is their house. Well, if they want to come by, we appreciate them coming by like during daylight hours. We don't want someone to ring the doorbell at 2 in the morning unless it's an emergency, because that's what we're going to expect if you ring our doorbell at 2 in the morning. But yes, please come and visit. Come see the guys. And I say guys figuratively. Come see the guys and girls.
Yes.
We do have 4 female firefighters, and just come meet them and realize the passion and stuff that they have for their job and taking care of the citizens of Midland.
Do you have a favorite part about the news stations?
I just love the overall design of Station 5. You look at that neighborhood, I think it fits that neighborhood. You could picture that station being there to an extent when it was built in the 50s. It's got that architectural feel to it. I think it just fits the neighborhood very well. Station 11, I also like it. It's got, it's kind of out there, and it's in the country, and it's got kind of a ranch house kind of feel to it, and its look. And so
it's huge.
Yeah, and so it's it really fits the area, and I think the citizens are going to enjoy seeing it.
And talk about how that just doesn't service the fire department, but also the other workers for the city with.
Yeah. So in that project, we were able to build a wash bay, and it's not necessarily for fire trucks. It's for all city vehicles. You can come bring your lovely car there and wash your car. All city vehicles can come there to have that maintenance done, as well as there's a fuel center. Really helps us at the fire department, because currently all of our vehicles on the western side of town had to have fuel cards to go to like a convenience store and get fuel, which makes it hard on the garage to track our hours. We base all of our maintenance on fire trucks based on hours, because a fire truck may be on scene for a couple of hours, so the motor hours is what we base stuff on. So now with this system being tied into the overall system, we're much easier to track those maintenance issues that are to when we need maintenance, and be on top of those things. So that fuel center is wonderful. The wash bay is a nice addition. So
We have 2 news stations servicing Midland.
Yeah.
What are some other big goals that you have for the fire department?
Our next thing is actually working with Chief Herman and the police department to build a joint fire police training center. And there's a need for his agency and mine to upgrade our training facilities, not only so that we could potentially, or will help train our individuals better. There's a couple other factors. We believe that being in one facility will help our 2 agencies work much better together. We already have a great working relationship, but this lets us do more trainings together on things that matter today. Active shooter incidents are in the news, and that's an item where we're going to work really close together. And anytime we could be in the same facility to work on those training things together would be great. Secondarily, both Chief Herman and we send individuals to other cities and pay money to do trainings elsewhere. On the fire department side, we send guys to Tarrant County College to do rope rescue training and get certified. I have individuals that are certified that can teach that. I just don't have the facility to teach it on. So instead of us spending money to go there, we could teach it here ourselves. Plus, then we become a regional asset, and then we teach that, and we reap the benefits of those dollars. So
I hope that happens.
Yeah. We've had 2 meetings, Chief Herman's staff and I, and my staff, and we're just trying to take those little baby steps to kind of start figuring some of those things out. We have our current training facility and his current training facility. They're less than a mile apart, out on the 307. And if we can figure out which piece of land is going to work better, and then figure out the funding pieces, that's going to be our next big goal.
And working with PD will bring us into one of our citizen questions, but before we get there, we're going to ask you our fun facts.
Okay.
And if no one has listened to the podcast before, every guest is asked the same 10. Okay. So we'll see what your answers are.
Okay.
You ready? These are probably going to be the hardest ones for you. Your favorite movie?
My favorite movie, I love baseball, and so it's going to be a baseball movie. I'm going to have to go Sandlot.
Oh, love it. Your favorite place to eat in Midland?
Favorite place, Longhorn Steakhouse at the bar top, because our bartender knows exactly what we're going to order, and I don't have to make the orders. So
you just sit down.
We just sit down, and my steak comes out the way I want it. So,
that's ideal.
Yes.
What's your favorite color?
Man, don't let PD hear this. It's blue.
I was going to say, you better say red.
Yeah, don't let PD. Yeah, but that's why we wear blue uniforms at the fire department. It's because the blue is my favorite
Navy,
color.
Yeah.
So
not for
blue.
The PD, just because Navy looks good. Yeah. If you could have one superpower, what would you choose?
One superpower.
I see I'm stumping you with these.
Well, I feel like it has to be flying, because flying lets you go do so many other cool things, so I guess flying.
Okay. Are you a dog or cat person?
I'm mainly a dog person, but I have a cat that I love as well, who acts like a dog, so maybe that's why I like him. But I have 2 dogs and 1 cat, but I've always had dogs, so I'm a dog guy.
Okay. Do you have a go-to karaoke song?
Yeah, no song at all. I'm a horrible singer in the shower, so I can't imagine how bad it would be at a karaoke bar.
No one said you had to be good at it.
Yeah, so it would be singing "Who I Am" by Wade Bowen to my wife. That's my go-to song.
That's a good one. Amy would love that.
Yeah.
Your favorite TV show?
I'm a sci-fi guy. I like science fiction stuff. And it's an older, I have 2.
You can say them both.
So when Stargate was a series, I love Stargate and SG-1 and all those things because it's sci-fi, but I'm also a zombie guy, and you've been in my office, you've seen my zombie collection of Walking Dead stuff.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, it's there, you just missed it. So I'll say overall it is The Walking Dead.
Okay. It's a little too scary for me, but your favorite sports team?
Texas Rangers.
I was going to say, it's got to be baseball. Yeah. Favorite type of music?
I truly am, because it's, this is one of them fun facts. I was a DJ in a previous life.
I was going to get to that. I was like, if he doesn't say it in these 10 questions,
but I love all music. I really do. I promise you, on my Pandora, there's country music, there's rock, there's today's alternative is one of my favorite channels right now. There's rap.
Really?
Yeah, I listen. There's classical. When I study, when I was going through promotional tests, I would listen to nothing but classical because I felt like it helped me study. So I've listened to everything. Another weird fun fact: in high school, I wasn't in band, so maybe that's why I like so much music and stuff. So.
You were in band?
Yeah.
What'd you play?
Tuba, trombone, baritone.
Oh wow! Can you still play any of them?
No.
No, that was just a high school thing.
Yeah. Well, no, I played in college too, because when my baseball career ended, I needed to help pay some bills, and the college gave me some scholarship money for that. So,
wow, that's neat. And where'd you go to school?
I went to Ranger Junior College for 2 years on my baseball scholarship, and I went to Howard College for 2 more years to get some more electives, and that's about when I started my fire career. And so I finished up with my fire degree at Midland College, and then got my bachelor's degree from Midland College as well.
Awesome. And our last fun fact question on the list. If you could have one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
One meal for the rest of my life.
You could do different variations of it. We've let other people do that.
It's, man, it's gotta be a New York style pizza.
Okay.
I just
like, cheese, or are you putting toppings?
No, it's got pepperoni on it. Maybe some jalapenos here and there, just but
depending on the day.
Yeah, depending on the day, but it'd be a New York style thin crust pizza that you can just fold in half and just
the best.
Yeah. So
that's all we have for the fun facts.
Okay.
Now we're going to get into the citizen questions.
Okay.
The first question we have is: does the Midland Fire Department have Jaws of Life at every station?
Yeah, so every one of our fire trucks has a set of jaws on it. Our rescue truck has a bigger set of jaws, and then we have three squads, so little smaller utility-looking trucks that run around town that people may see, and there are technically our frontline rescue trucks, and they have jaws on them as well. And then so that we keep those vehicles or the equipment new and serviceable. Anytime we spec out a new fire truck, we spec out a new set of jaws on those trucks as well.
Why did you choose to become a firefighter?
So long, funny, fun fact type story. So my uncle or my great uncle was a firefighter in Eastland, Texas, and he was the volunteer fire chief for Eastland County for Carbon Volunteer Fire Department. He owned a little gas station in Carbon, and my mom would drop me off at the old full service gas station, and would drop me off. I was probably 1974, so I was like 6 years old, and it dropped me off. I get to hang out with my Uncle Colin, and he, fire truck's parked right next to the gas station, old school Coke machine, get a Coke, throw some peanuts in it, and so one day he gets the phone call that there's a fire, so he goes, "Come on, Chucky, get in the truck," and so I got in the truck, and off we went to my first ever fire, so I really loved the idea of firefighting, as a lot of little boys do, and girls, they just think it's cool. It was one of those things, though, I didn't know how to get into the career. He taught at A&M, but I was born in Austin. My dad worked for UT Radio, so I grew up a Longhorn fan, and I just wasn't going to A&M to be a firefighter.
You're like, I cannot do that.
I just wasn't going to do it. If Mr. Dufford's watching this, I'm sorry. Mr. Robinette. And so it's just the way it goes. But a friend of mine was a firefighter in Big Spring. Said, "You need to come be a firefighter." I said, "Yeah, I don't want to go." She said, "No, we hire you off the street and we do everything." Well, so I tested, was number one on the test, got hired in Big Spring in January of 95. And by December of 95, I was a firefighter paramedic. Finished all my school, and
wow.
And then two and a half years later, I was here in Midland.
And the rest is history.
It's
and now you're fire chief.
Yes.
Which brings us to the next question. What's your favorite thing about being fire chief?
So the thing I love about firefighting in general was helping people. I'm a firm believer in helping people. I tell our guys every day, that's the one thing we're here for, is to help people. They don't call their son or their daughter or their husband or their wife or their family member. They call us for help, and so to go help. So I love that piece. Now that I'm in the front office, I feel like it's my job to help them help people. So getting them new fire stations, getting them new fire trucks, making sure they have the best equipment to protect them and do their job. That's my favorite thing about being fire chief, is just helping them do their job. So
this isn't a citizen question, but talk to me about what it's like being a first responder and a firefighter, about the camaraderie you guys have at the department.
We live together 120 days a year if you're on shift. It's 120 days. We work 2 days on, 4 days off. So 48 hours, you're living with somebody. You're living them with a third of your life, and they become family. They become you, good and bad.
It's really like siblings.
Yes. Yeah. You've been around us enough to know we pick on each other. We've had spats, we try not to have fights. I'm sure there's been some history of those kind of things. But it's still, at the end of the day, it's I've got your back, you've got mine when things are going wrong. And things can go wrong. And that's why we try to train and do those things to make sure we're ready for those incidents. And I think that's why there is such a close family relationship between us and our families out of work as well, is because we all know what we're going through, and we have those systems to help each other out.
And you kind of touched on this next question before in our normal set of questions. Does fire and PD have a rivalry?
We have a fun rivalry.
Yeah.
We love picking on each other. There's probably not a moment that goes by where I don't poke at Chief Herman.
Or donuts.
Yeah. So it's we always joke that the training facility will be one side fire and there'll be a donut shop on the other side. So sorry, Seth. So, but we have a great relationship because just like us, they go through the same stuff, and they go through some different things on a different level than we go through. But at the end of the day, they're out there just like us, choosing to help people, and that was their calling. And sometimes people forget that it's not like you drew a lottery and I got to go be a cop or I got to go be a fireman. We chose these paths. We chose to help people, and we love doing it. And
you genuinely have to love showing up to work every day to do what you guys do.
You do. You have to. It's because you can't have you can have a bad day, but you got to remember, even if you're having a bad day, whoever's calling you is having a worse day because they called you for whatever reason. They called you, and so they're having a worse day. So you have to kind of shake off your bad day to go handle those things. And so it's at the end of the day, it's still the best job in the world. So.
What's the craziest rescue you had as a firefighter?
You asked, kind of forewarned me about this question so I could kind of have an idea. And it's tough to think about crazy rescues, but I guess the craziest one, there was, I don't know, a giant rainstorm like we've had here recently, back in 2002, 3, whenever it was. I was just a firefighter at the time at Station 2 on Florida Street. It was a run out in the county where a low water area, it was in the evening too, we couldn't see. And it was flooding, and a gentleman and his child drove off into the water thinking they could cross. Well, they couldn't, and it started floating them down this draw. And we tried to get out to them, we couldn't get to them, so we ended up working with DPS and their helicopter. We flew a guy over, and we grabbed the child first and brought him to me in my ambulance. So I was taking care of her. And then we flew back over and grabbed the dad. When we grabbed the dad, the water was just about to the roof of his pickup truck. And so that's the craziest thing. And again, it just shows you another episode where fire and police have kind of worked together to get the job done that day. And but that was kind of the craziest one that I can remember.
Do you have quite a few that kind of stick out to you when you think back on it?
Yeah, there's lots of crazy ones. There's lots of sad runs too, and those are the things, I don't know if that's good or bad, those stick with me as well, so that's kind of, those kind of jump in your brain as well when you ask that question, so I'm trying to filter through some of those thoughts, but at the end of the day, I really feel like I've helped lots of people in my career, whether it be on the ambulance or on the fire truck, and hopefully I did a good job for them. So.
And we talked about how it is a calling to be a firefighter. What advice would you give to someone that thinks that's what they want to choose as a career path?
I would say talk to a firefighter, and know that it's what you see on Chicago Fire or on TV or any of those things. That's not what it's like in real life. It's a lot of little slow times with some chaotic times. And because of the world we live in today, we're called a fire department, but we're an emergency response department. We do fire, we do EMS. 86% of what we do is EMS related. Mm-hmm. We do hazmat, we do community service stuff. There's lots of things that we do. It's not all the fun stuff that you would see on a TV show because they just focus in and make it look like that's what the job is. It's not. There's lots of other pieces, so you have to be willing to do all those pieces and do all those pieces well, and it can be done, but it takes some work and some effort and some commitment, and know that commitment doesn't end the day you get out of rookie school because things change and you have to be able to change with those things.
And talk to me about the amount of training you guys do as a department.
So our training division is awesome, and we have a training. We have the training staff at Harrisfield, plus to help them out because they're consistently giving rookie schools. Chief Doubt at the training division also created a training team of guys that are captains and stuff on shift that help create training events for the month. We have to get roughly 20 hours. We have to get 20 hours a year of specific fire training for the Texas Commission But to maintain our ISO 1 rating for the city, we have to do 20 hours of training a month. Now that can be a wide range of things that count for that. Just checking your daily equipment counts for 1/3 of an hour. So there are things that we can get to cover those hours. But we don't get as many fires as we once got. I had a captain who's retired now that talked about every fire you go to is a Rolodex. A lot of people aren't going to know what a Rolodex is. So it's a contact page in your phone. So you get a bunch of contacts of fires. And so as you get more fires, you get more contacts. But the problem is we don't get as many fires. So we have to replace those with training evolutions. So we try to put our staff in those situations based on our previous knowledge that we're sharing with the future generations, so that they have that little contact in their head and it goes off. So we have to train to learn those things.
And talk to me about, we get this question a lot, and you guys do too, why do an ambulance and fire truck respond together?
So again, we do both. I'm a firefighter paramedic. I rode on both throughout my career. One day I'd be on the ambulance, next day I'd be on the fire truck. We have a tiered EMS system. We have kind of basically 4 tiers. The first tier being, if you call, maybe you just need help getting over something, you may just see a fire truck or a squad. You may not see an ambulance for that. A typical just sick call or something would be kind of the second tier, which might be just an ambulance only. That third tier could be an ambulance only, or it could be an ambulance and a fire truck. It could be a more serious type run. But anything in that fourth tier would be considered advanced life support. Anytime there may be CPR or a patient that's having seizures, anything where it's going to take more than a couple of sets of hands. Because at the end of the day, if the ambulance is driving to the hospital, I mean, somebody's got to be in the front and only one person can be in the back. So if it's a serious run, we need all hands on deck. And because we're all trained and certified, we get as many possible hands as we can. And, that's a little ambulance. And so one thing we like to point out to people when they ask that question is, when you go to the ER, in that big ER room, how many people are in there? You have a doctor, a couple of nurses, the rest. Well, my room is smaller, and I don't have a doctor, but I have some very good paramedics that work for us at the fire department. And so you'll have 2 or 3 of those in the back of the ambulance with you, making sure you're getting the best care as we take you to the hospital.
And this is random, but just you talking about that made me think of it. Is a family member still allowed to ride in the ambulance with them?
It all really honestly depends on the run. It's first off, if it's a child, we'll a lot of times have the parent ride in the back because it's easier to keep them calm to whatever event they're going through. So it all depends on what the event is. So
that was my last question for you. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I just want to thank the citizens of Midland for all their support over the years for the Midland Fire Department. As we saw during the open house of Station 5, the citizens come in and they brought us donuts and cookies and stuff for the open house, and so that makes us feel appreciated, and we love that feeling. It's those little small thank yous like that we appreciate, and I just appreciate the citizens of Midland for doing those things for us.
Chief Blumenauer, thank you.
Thank you, Erin.
Everyone, that concludes episode 4. We'll talk to you next time.